Hello everyone and welcome to the first of hopefully very many videos describing some tips that I have for finding a job in tech. Now I've already produced a video that describes what steps I think you should take if you're a few months, even up to a year away from applying. So I'll pop that there. So you can check that out if you're a little bit further away. But if you're getting quite close to your job search, then this is going to be a playlist for you, or this is going to be the first video in a playlist for you. I started creating just one video thinking I'd put all of my tips into one video, and when I got to about my 12th tip, I thought, maybe that's a little bit much for one video, so I'm going to split it up for your sanity, but also for my own, so that I don't have to create this mega video, but can actually just create some nice shorter videos to describe the tips, and you can kind of pick and choose which ones you want to learn about. So now that you understand what's going on, let's get started with my first video and my first tip. My first tip is to get active on LinkedIn, and if you're in Europe or specifically Germany, on Xing as well. That's spelled with an X, X-I-N-G. If you're an expat and not familiar with Xing like I wasn't, it's basically a German LinkedIn. I don't know why there's a second one. I don't know why LinkedIn isn't enough, but for some reason Xing is where it is at. So please sign up to both. Within this scope, I also have some more tips. You can tell I'm a programmer, can't you, in this scope? All right, so let's talk about some tips about what you do once you're actually on Xing and you're on LinkedIn. All right. Firstly, do not, I repeat, do not put aspiring anywhere, right? This is something that Danny Thompson talks about all the time, and it was a great insight that I got from him, which is that if you put aspiring web developer, aspiring programmer, absolutely no one is looking for an aspiring anything, right? What they want to find is someone who can do the job right now. By putting this in your title, you are warning recruiters away from you straight away. You're warning HR reps away from you straight away. Do not put aspiring. Put the job that you want. Web developer. Punkt. Yeah, end of sentence. Web developer, software engineer. If you really want, you can put junior as well. I personally don't think you should. If you can do the job of a normal software engineer, you can do the job of a developer, then put that. During the interview process, assuming you get an interview, they will work out what level you're at, right? Or maybe you apply to a junior position. They will know that you are going to be a junior, right? There's no reason to undersell yourself from the very first page that they see about you. If they click on your profile and the first thing they see is junior or aspiring, then straight away they're thinking, does this person actually know what they're talking about? So that would be my first thing. Do not put aspiring anywhere in either of these profiles. Ooh, it's Hannah from the future, here to say that I realized after I recorded this video that so many of the tips that I put in here about LinkedIn come from Danny Thompson's LinkedIn series. He is amazing and goes into far more detail about it than I can in this video. So I'm going to include a link down in the description. Please do check it out. He's got a lot of free content there, and he also does paid consultations if you want someone to go over your LinkedIn personally. So that's all I came here to say, and now I will let you go back to the present. Ooh. The second thing I'm going to recommend, and this especially is true for LinkedIn, is to put the technologies or the programming languages that you're comfortable with into your title. Now, what you might not know is that recruiters actually search LinkedIn. They use search terms just like Google for them, right? They type in city and JavaScript and they see what they get, right? Now, if you don't have JavaScript anywhere in your title, they might not find you, right? And if you want people to come to you, which is a far better way for these things to get started, then that is the best thing you can do. Put JavaScript, put Node, put React, whatever it happens to be that you work with, Java, Python, whatever you work with, put it in your title. So for example, say web developer, pipe, JavaScript, React, SQL, no SQL, whatever. whatever you work with, just pop that into your title, and that will allow recruiters to find you, and which hopefully means that they message you, which, as I said, is a much better way to get the job search started than you messaging them. I've mentioned before in some of my videos Taylor Desane. I am a huge fan of Taylor Desane. He's a recruiter. He calls himself the recruiter against recruiters. And one of the things that he does, which I think is really smart, is he recommends to people that when you are doing descriptions of the jobs that you did, and this goes for your CV and your LinkedIn, by the way, and your Xing for that matter if you're on Xing, rather than describing what you did, write what you achieved. Okay, so if you were, I don't know, a hotel room cleaner, let's say, and there was 1 month where you busted all of the expectations in terms of speed of cleaning, or you got an award for some sort of special thing that you turned over. Let's say you found someone's expensive necklace 2 weeks after they'd left it there and you managed to get it back to them and you got a special award for this or a special commendation for this or a special comment from your manager or whatever. Mention that. Like, people don't actually want to know the details of what you did for a job, right? If you worked with certain technologies that you think are going to be relevant, then sure, put that. But if you're doing a career change or you're looking for your first job and you're coming from other jobs that don't have anything to do with tech, focus on the ways in which you made an impression or you went above and beyond. I've spoken about this before, but I think proving that you have drive, proving that you are willing to go that extra step, that is worth a lot to employers, and recruiters are on the lookout for people who do go that extra step. So show that you did that in some of your previous jobs. Did you get employee of the month, employee of the week? It doesn't matter. Put something that shows that you did more than just the bare minimum necessary. This next point is kind of an extension of what I just mentioned, and that is for the intro section of your LinkedIn. Now you get this beautiful free space where you can talk about anything. And what I would do there is to put the 3 or 4 main points that you want a recruiter or someone in HR to take away from your profile. Right? You want to put here your 3 or 4 strongest things, the things that say the most about you and what kind of person you are, right? Or it could be a logistical thing, right? I am only open to positions in Europe, or I am only looking for fully remote work, or something like that. But I would focus more here on selling yourself, right? So something along the lines of, so one of the things I had, for example, was 6 years experience in digital marketing and project management. That was one of the first things I put up there. Now, did digital marketing and project management actually have anything to do with programming in JavaScript? No, it didn't. But it showed that I had experience, and it showed that I was not fresh. I'm not just some kid, right? I'm not like fresh out of uni. I'm someone who has a little bit of experience and probably already knows how to work in the corporate world with other people, right? It also shows project management is kind of a transferable skill. The fact that I was working digital marketing meant the word digital was kind of like showing, yes, I'm a career changer, but I was still in the field of something technological. So you can also kind of try to play to your strengths like that. But I would definitely put anything in there that you really want to use to show who you are, what you're about. If you are super passionate about coding, I would put that as well, to say I am super passionate about technology and I am ready to give my all to a new position. Even something like that says something about you, right? So use that space wisely. Don't be afraid of dot points. Do not put a wall of text. No one will read it. I'm really sorry to break it to you. Most people really don't care about your life story. They really don't. So, I mean, I'm sure you're lovely and I'm sure you have a very interesting story, but most people don't really care. And if they're a recruiter, they have numbers to meet. They have quotas to meet, right? They're not like looking through people's life stories trying to find someone who inspires them. No, they've got a quota to meet of people to apply for certain positions and they have to meet certain criteria. So make it easy for them to find if you meet that criteria or not. Use that space, sell yourself, keep it short, to the point. Don't be afraid of dot points. Just catch their attention and go for it. Another thing about LinkedIn in particular is that you can make posts there. Now, I heard this tip from Catalan Pitt and I strongly recommend doing it. Pretty much anything you post on Twitter that is tech related can be posted on LinkedIn. Have a think about that for a second. You can post anything there. Just post about it, talk about it, get a conversation going. People will add you, add everyone. There is nothing to lose on LinkedIn. Just add everyone. Like, I mean, obviously if they are weird, or they send you bad messages, you can block them later, But at first, just add everyone. There is nothing to lose by having a big network. Just like how on Twitter, you wouldn't, like someone wouldn't try to follow you and you'd be like, no, no, you're not interested in technology. I don't want you to follow me. Of course, you don't care. Like you want them to follow you because clearly they're interested in you and what you're doing. And that is great. You can build a social network on LinkedIn just like you do on Twitter or Facebook or anywhere else. And this is a good thing for you because it's about making connections. Hmm? And that will lead into my next point. You should also look for people in your area or who are doing the job you want to do eventually and adding them. Try to connect them, send a quick note, say, hi, I live in the same city as you and I'm hoping to become a JavaScript developer. Would you mind connecting? Right? The worst that happens is that they ignore you and they don't add you back. Who really cares? Like, not a big deal. But I made contact, for example, with someone called Simon Weller. He's actually someone who I added this way. I looked for developers who were working in Leipzig. I saw that he was English originally, and I contacted him, and we started having a little chat about the Leipzig scene and, what kind of thing I might want to do later on. And it was a great chat. And then we ended up connecting on Twitter and we still talk to this day. So it's a great way to create a little network and start connecting to people. And when you get to the point where you're really seriously applying for jobs, these are also people who you can ask, hey, do you know anything about this company or that company? Or are there any positions going at your work that you know about? Or have you heard about any positions that are going in other workplaces in our area? These just start making connections, start talking to people. As I said, the worst thing that they can say is no. I've had a few people message me asking me to mentor them, and I've had to say no to them because of time constraints. But I'm not like, I'm not angry. I'm not upset that they messaged me. It's like, it's nice. So like most of the time, most people, if they get a message from you and they're not really interested, they'll either just not respond or they'll just respond saying, look, sorry, I can't. And then it's like, who cares? You haven't lost anything except maybe a tiny bit of time, like a few minutes that it took you to type a message. So make those connections because they can lead to jobs. So yes, really do that. The last thing I'm going to say about LinkedIn, because this is getting really long, this is becoming its own like YouTube playlist, is to take advantage of the featured section. Now, there's a little featured section of your profile where you can actually feature articles that you write, for example, blog posts or YouTube videos, or even just posts that you've made on LinkedIn. You could put up your certifications, you could put up your CV, I feel a bit weird about putting CVs in there, but I mean, it's your call. Reference letter, something like that. Speaking of references, I'm going to drop another recommendation in here. It's jam-packed here, folks, which is to get recommendations from former employers on your LinkedIn. There's a recommendation section. I think it's right near the bottom of your LinkedIn profile, and it is worth asking anyone you used to work with, actually, colleagues, managers, supervisors, anyone who you worked with who you think had a good impression of you, but of course the more they worked with you, the better. Ask them to recommend you, right? Ask them to write a few nice sentences about you. It can never ever hurt to have them there. And I know for a fact that recruiters do read those recommendations. If you have 3 or 4 recommendations and someone else has 0, you're the one who's going to get the email. So I would strongly recommend doing that as well. So take advantage of that featured section, get those recommendations going. The great thing about all of these tips actually is that once you've done them all, right, once you've set it all up, the only way in which you have to keep interacting is through messages and occasionally posting on LinkedIn. But once you really set up your profile to say what you achieved in jobs and to make that opening section really great and to have dot points and to have your technologies and programming languages in your title and all of those things, you don't really need to mess with it very much after that. I, guys, yet again, I thought of something else. Your profile picture, please, please post a professional picture, right? By professional, I mean you look approachable, but professional in it. Don't take a picture of you holding a bottle of wine. Don't take a picture of you looking like this at the camera, right? Try to be smiling, or, sometimes there's a nice picture of people, giving speeches at conferences. Those can be nice too, but make sure your face is really clear and you look approachable and professional. It's really not that hard to do. Look, you do this, you get ideally a more blank background than what I've got here. You look at the camera, you smile, there you go. There's a photo. It doesn't have to be complex. You can do it at home. You can do it like a selfie. It doesn't have to be um, a professional shoot. I'm not saying you have to go and pay someone to take these photos for you, but please make sure that you do that because that is the first thing that people are going to see when they click on your profile. So you want it to look nice and you want it to look friendly because also don't forget that people are looking for good colleagues as well. They're not just looking for good programmers, they're looking for good colleagues. So you don't want to be someone who looks super stern and serious and unapproachable because people want to actually work with you, right? They don't want to work with someone who they think that is going to be giving them death stares all day, right? Okay. So now that I've gotten that out of the way, thank you so much for watching. This turned into a much longer video than I expected, but that's the real core of my knowledge about LinkedIn in particular. Most of this applies to Xing as well, except I guess do it in German if you're in Germany. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day and I will see you next time. Bye.